Das Problem der deutschen Industrie sind die hohen Energiepreise. Und die hohen Energiepreise haben die Ursache darin, dass wir keine sichere und günstige Energieversorgung mehr haben. Deutschland ist der Geisterfahrer in der Welt.
The shock is here. Weidel versus Friedrich Merz. The AfD chairwoman has spoken, and her words are devastating. What Weidel is now saying about Merz isn't normal opposition, it's an indictment. She calls him war chancellor. She accuses him of driving Germany into war. Merz wants to send German soldiers to Ukraine. He wants to entangle Germany in a conflict with Russia. And Weidel says, stop. This confrontation shows what it's really about, peace or war. Reason or madness. Germany must choose. And Merz stands on the wrong side. Let's look at what happened. On January 6th, Merz was in Paris. There the Ukraine allies met, the so-called coalition of the willing. France and Great Britain announced they will station troops in Ukraine after a ceasefire. They want to establish military bases across Ukraine to deter future invasions. And Merz? He says Germany could play a military role in securing a possible peace in Ukraine. He rules nothing out. He says this could include, for example, deploying forces on NATO territory neighboring Ukraine after a ceasefire. That sounds harmless. That sounds like peacekeeping. But Weidel sees through the game. She says Merz follows a familiar and dangerous pattern. She exposes him. She shows what's really behind ET. Weidel analyzes razor sharp, unable to impose himself within his own coalition and failing to deal with the economic, energy and migration crises at home. He is engaging in international grandstanding that ignores both reason and realpolitik. That hits. That's the truth. Merz is failing domestically. The economy is shrinking. Energy prices are exploding. Migration is out of control. His coalition with the SPD is a disaster. He has no solutions. So he distracts. With Rhetorik. With troop deployments. With international theater. Weidel warns Merz is willing to drag Germany into a military confrontation with unforeseeable consequences. This isn't exaggeration. This is reality. If German troops go to Ukraine, we risk direct conflict with Russia. That could become World War III. Russia has already made clear Western troops in Ukraine are legitimate targets. That means Russia will shoot at German soldiers. German soldiers will die. And teen? Then there's no going back. Then Germany is at war. But Merz doesn't care. He continues. He plans. He negotiates. He prepares Germany for war. And the media is silent. State media reports dutifully. They don't criticize. They don't question. They make propaganda for the war chancellor. Weidel is the only one saying loudly what millions of Germans think: we don't want war. The AfD stands for peace. For diplomacy. For negotiations. Not for weapons deliveries. Not for troop deployments. Not for escalation. Weidel also says Merz engages in international grandstanding. That's the core problem. Merz wants to play a role on the world stage. He wants to be perceived as a statesman, as a leader, as someone making Germany important again. But he's only destroying Germany. People see this. Polls show ET. The AfD is at 26%. The CDU only at 24.5%. For the first time, the AfD is the strongest force. Why? Because people want peace. Because they don't want war adventures. Because they trust Weidel. Merz signed an agreement in Paris. Together with Macron, Zelensky and others. They're planning the future. They're planning troop deployments. They're planning the post-war order. But they don't ask the German people. They ignore the Bundestag. They just do ET, yet Germany is different from France or Britain. The Bundeswehr is a parliamentary army. The Bundestag must approve. Every foreign deployment needs a majority in parliament. This has been legally established since 2005. But does anyone seriously believe Merz will stick to this? He'll present Parliament with fait accompli. He'll say, we committed. We must now deliver. And then he'll blackmail the members. With alliance loyalty. With international responsibility. With every trick he knows. The AfD will vote against. Clearly and definitely. Alice Weidel has announced she'll fight. She'll do everything to protect German soldiers from this madness. But the question is that enough? The CDU, SPD, Greens, they all want this war. They all follow the NATO line. They all sacrifice German interests for transatlantic loyalty. The AfD stands alone, together with the left. That's the absurd situation. Only the outer edges of the political spectrum fight for peace. Weidel also makes clear, Merz ignores reason and realpolitik. What does that mean? It means Merz doesn't think strategically. He doesn't think about consequences. He only thinks about his image, about his role, about his place in history books. But history will be harsh with him. It will remember him as the chancellor who led Germany into war, as the man who sacrificed German soldiers out of vanity, as the war chancellor. The Bundeswehr is already deployed everywhere in the world. Kosovo, Lebanon, Bosnia-Herzegovina, South Sudan, Western Sahara. German soldiers serve in UN, EU and NATO missions. They protect merchant ships in the Red Sea. They monitor arms embargoes. They are observers and peacekeepers. But Ukraine is different. Ukraine is an active war zone. Ukraine is a conflict with a nuclear power. Ukraine is the powder keg that could blow up Europe. And Merz wants to send German soldiers exactly there. Alice Weidel warns of unforeseeable consequences. This isn't an empty phrase. This is reality. Nobody knows how Russia will react. Nobody knows if a ceasefire will hold. Nobody knows if German soldiers will end up facing Russians. And teen? Merz has no answers. He only has plans. Vague plans. He says all options are open. He says this could include. He says possibly. This isn't leadership. This is improvisation. This is dangerous. The AfD demands instead diplomacy, negotiations, a real peace solution. Not weapons deliveries but dialogue channels. Not troop deployments but mediation. Germany should be the honest broker, the peacemaker, not the warmonger. Weidel also says Merz can't impose himself within his own coalition. That's true. The SPD blocks him on migration. The SPD blocks him on economy. The SPD blocks him everywhere. Merz is weak. He's trapped. So he seeks strength elsewhere. Abroad. In wahr. But that's the wrong way. Germany doesn't need a war chancellor. Germany needs a peace chancellor. One who solves problems at home. One who cares for people. One who protects Germany instead of endangering it. The question to German voters is clear. Do you want peace or war? Do you want Merz as war chancellor? Or do you want an alternative? The AfD offers this alternative. Alice Weidel offers this alternative. She stands for Germany. She stands for peace. She stands for reason. What do you think? Is Merz a war chancellor? Does he want to drive Germany into conflict? Write it in the comments. Give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.